G'day Australia, and welcome to FJ Holden Jive Talking. Today we're going to venture into Greater Redlands actually and have a look at something that's pretty important to any FX or FJ Holden car club, or any car club for that matter, is your club car. Now I'm not talking about something that's showroom or brand new or in a museum or any of those sorts of things. This is the sort of car that everybody gets, everybody works on, everybody learns on. You might have a show car, and in this instance we've got a 1953. It's a nice sedan. It's from originally from Rosewood in Brisbane, so that's out the back of Ipswich on the way to Toowoomba and so on. But look, the car we've got is a really lovely green actually. Now we did a shot last weekend of the Holden for a Cure, all Holden Day, and one of the subscribers actually reached out to me and said, is that the fabled parakeet green? And look, I don't know. So one of the other subscribers we have, well, you might be able to tell us if this is close or not, because the owner doesn't know. But to give you a little bit of a story, the owner of this car is very well known. He's had show cars, he and his wife. They've had other models, but they really needed a car that was pretty much the year of their birth. That's what they were looking at. And so they've come across this car, and believe it or not, they've actually owned it twice. So I'm just wandering around giving you some nice shady shots of it so you can actually see what the FX is like. And given it's FJ Holden Jive Talking, I don't do too many FXs, so normally the people are pretty special. So what I'd like to do is just give you a little bit of an inside of the car. So let's have a look inside to start. So as I mentioned, they've had this car twice, and it got sold after a little while, and they were in the position of being able to buy it back. But as we go inside, you can see, okay, let's start on the seats. Now we're not dealing with a stock car, so this is made for creature comforts, for a couple to jump in and just go. So in here we've got a pearled steering wheel, we've got indicators of the day, and on the car you can actually see, we've got a AM FM tape deck on the dash. We've got the GPS speed that projects up onto the windscreen, so that's a great little idea. We've got the rings around the speedo, around the idiot lights and the fuel gauge. We've got some other information here that we can see what's going on with the battery and the temperature and the oil pressure and so on. So that's all great. And we've also got another player underneath that as well. So in this, it's pretty basic. It's a nice little car, and the most important thing out of everything is the fact that the owners have got something. They got something to be proud of, and they got something to work with. Or if they want to just jump in and go, well, they certainly can. Now, as an FX, very similar to FJ, there's not too many differences between the two. If we just go in the back, you can see it's all nice and neat and tidy. It's well upholstered in the back, so very nice. Now with this car, some of the trends at the time, chrome on the sills. We've got a little peep mirror here, so you can get these now. They're readily available. You just get onto the trading websites, and people have got their electronic shops, and they've got them for sale. Now one of the other trends at the time was with FJs. I remember helping a friend of mine in the 70s. His FJ had the aerial in the center of the roof. So very, very typical mod for that one. Now in this case we've got chrome HR wheels. Looks good. Now with this car we've got red motor with triple set of carburetors off an XU1 and an Opel 4-speed. little bit of fun in here. Everyone in Queensland seems to like the Claxton horn. And one of the other common accessories we pointed out last week at Holden's for a Cure, all Holden Day, was a brake reservoir. So, you know, that was a really common thing in the day. Now, in a lot of instances, in the factory, these were GMH black, and the same for the upper baffle panel, but they've painted a body colour, so it just gives it a different look and a different dimension. Now, we know this is a nice little club car, right? But they've done some clever things to it. You know, we're talking about the LEDs that are actually in the blinkers, and also the parker lights in the grille. Now, that's really, really clever, actually, because they're well hidden, but you'd only see that at night. But one of the other things to compare it with is, you know, you think, okay, we've got a 48 here, or 48 model, it's a 1953 manufacture, the Air Ride, but, you know, we've got LEDs at the front of the car, and not for nothing, you know, the last Commodore that's made in Adelaide, well, it's got LEDs in the front, so, you know, a common throw to both of them. But look, a lovely little car. The colour's the most striking thing. It's you know, lovingly driven around. It's reliable. The owners enjoy driving it, particularly with, you know, a setup like this on it. You know, I remember at my work at the Electricity Commission, you know, the guys there with XU1s commonly believed that the only fellow in Brisbane who could tune an XU1 engine was Dick Johnson at his workshop at Wollongabba. So, you know, well and truly a good little car. So I'm just giving you some more shots of it. But very nicely put together. Now the FX compared to the FJ, here's two differences. Now with the early FXs, under here there would be a light, and at night time you'd turn the tail light on. And as they got later on in the time, well, they removed that switch, you didn't have that. But it's got different wings and tail light to the FJ, and different script to the Holden or a Holden Special, and also a different boot handle. Now I really like this boot handle. It's very similar to the panel van boot handle, actually. Really like that, and because it's an Air Ride, a 53, you'll see it's got FJ Holden front and rear overriders. Now the other thing it's got is here, the indentation for where the number plate sits. Now that's really classy, actually. Now, and I don't quite know why Holden went away from that, because that's quite a smart little feature to put that recess in the boot, because what it's doing is actually setting your number plate at the same slope as what the rest of the boot is. So from that perspective, that was a really clever design feature, and I don't know why they went away from it for the FJ, probably thinking that they could modernise a little bit by just having a smooth boot. But sometimes changes aren't always the right thing, and that's just my own personal opinion from observing them over many, many years. But nice little car. Like I said, we've got the FJ overriders at the back for 53, and FJ overriders at the front. So for the uninitiated who are looking at the video, this model ran from November in 1948, and this week we've had the 71st anniversary, through to 1953 when they then introduced the FJ. But this is the last of the model run, so they were actually introducing a new set of suspension. So that's, you know, there are some, besides the grille and interior, there's some structural differences between the FX and the FJ, and that's mainly to do with the suspension. But this car would have been released with the FJ suspension. That's why they called it an Air Ride. And the project was actually FX Fix Cross Member, which is why they went from the FX to the FJ cross member. Well, really it's an amended or an upgraded cross member. but that was what the project was. Fixed cross member. And so you'd see drawings that have got FIX or FX written on it, and so there's been, the model has been coined from that, because there was 120,402 of the FXs manufactured, compared to the time from 1953 to 1956 with the FJ, and the panel van went through to 1957 because the FE panel van wasn't ready, but they did by comparison 169,969 FJs. So, you know, a lot of cars being manufactured. They couldn't actually make them fast enough, and they were sold before they knew it. I remember my dad telling me he actually bought two. He ordered two, he bought two, he needed one, and he sold one on day number 2 because people couldn't get them fast enough. So he actually made money out of buying and selling a Holden overnight. But they're the things, you know, business people did in the day. But there you go, folks. We've had a lovely little air ride today. Beautiful green colour, a nice little club car, a few little accessories that we've talked about: the brake reservoir, the peep mirrors, the centre of the turret for the aerial, the LED lights all round, and also the parking lights. We've got XU1 triple carburetors on it, together with a 4-speed Opel gearbox. We've got a lovely little set of 13-inch chrome wheels. So that just gives you a lot of ideas for what people can do with their cars, particularly if you're young and you're just getting started out, and you think, okay, well, what are we going to do with this car that we've got? Because you've got to start from somewhere. But like I said, the owners have had this car twice, and they're happy to have it. So there you go. There was a few little bits and pieces there on the tips and clicks from FJ Holden Jive Talking. So we'll look forward to seeing you another time. Thank you.